At this time, I'd like to call tonight's meeting to order. Kathleen Allen.
Here.
James Bell. Amy Callan.
Here.
Brian Chetney.
Here.
Tom Chapa.
Here.
Brandon Legault.
Here.
Samuel Tripp.
Here.
Elise Manicha. If you would all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, no one has signed up for floor to the public. No unfinished business listed. Board of Education, item A, rescind prior approval for the Environmental Club to travel to South Africa. Any discussion on
Yeah.
this?
Yeah, I
Yes.
think we get deep into discussion. As a board member, there are many times we have to make decisions that are not popular and very uncomfortable. I approved this trip probably a year ago, whenever it first came to us. And at the time, I thought it was a good trip. I still think it's a good trip. The concern I have is with the safety of our staff and students, parents that will be making this trip. South Africa in the last, not South Africa, excuse me, Africa, in the last couple of months have had a kidnapping, I think was in West Africa, and there was another kidnapping, I think, in North Africa. Not in South Africa yet, but who's to say when. So this is one of those decisions that's really, really tough, but I can't support this trip.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I'll just add to that, in South Africa itself, the increase in crime has been exponential over the last few years. I was there 6 years ago, and from that time to now, and the government's changing, and there's serious reasons why we're rescinding it.
And by the board not approving this trip doesn't mean the trip can't happen. The fundraising has already begun and been underway, and our legal tells us that our support is not required for this trip. The only reason the board had to approve it was for fundraising, and we've proved that, and you fundraise. So if the parents, I think the superintendent has come up with some kind of a waiver letter, and if the parents and guardians are willing to sign off on that waiver letter, then there's absolutely no reason why the trip can't go on as planned.
And that's what I was going to say. I think that we all felt, I guess, an obligation to the parents and the kids who did fundraise. I mean, that's a lot of money. And the fact that we did approve it and the travel safety rating remained the same, I think that was a tough decision to make, because when you're looking at the numbers, we said yes the first time and the number's the same, and now we're saying no. But of course, as we all know, when you watch the news and we know what's going on, these things have happened. So our number one concern has to be the safety, but yet following close behind that is the fact that we wanted to make sure that if we were going to take away the approval, that you were still going to be able to go, you weren't going to lose your money. So I mean, we were definitely cognizant of that. It wasn't a flippant decision by any means, or not concerned about the financial aspect of it. So I think that that's an important point to make as well.
And I just want to say, I was not on the board last year in the approval process, but seeing the information that I saw this year gave me pause. And it did when I saw the alert level at 2. And when you read down through what it says, the alert level at 2, and some of the incidents and some of the incidents that take place, and then it uses the word, these are common. So to me, if ever we're going to send our kids into an area, I'd love to see it to an area where it's level 1, where there's not a risk. And maybe that's us as a board revisiting how we give approval and where those sites are, and being very clear as to our responsibility throughout the year, and be able to revisit that throughout the year before it comes around. But that was my position on when I saw that. And also the transition in the government recently, and the potential for more civil unrest, which is also noted in the level 2 alert.
Also, Carrie, this is Environmental Club. Is this the Environmental Club or Travel Club?
It's the Environmental Club.
Okay.
It was originally, yes.
And that, I mean, going forward, I'd like to have another discussion about that in particular, because I just think when you're talking about students and parents spending $5,000 apiece or more, and Africa's climate is very different than our environment here, I just think that that money could be better served here in our own environment and teaching them more about our environment. I mean, these trips are glamorous and fun and God willing safe, but that's a lot of money when those resources could be spent here instead. And, you know, I mean, what are we doing locally for our local environment? And also, the other thing that I know that I had requested, I know nobody's here, but administration except Carrie, but is to see what the attorney's feedback is on international travel with a high school.
I think for me, I'm just gonna echo what everybody else kind of said. First, you gotta look at the kids' safety, number one, which we did as a board. There was a lot of discussion in the background on what to do. There was some pause that was given to get some legal advice, and then we actually gave some pause for Dean to come up with or look at some of the other potential outcomes of it. So for folks that are here that are supporting it, just know that it's not an easy decision to make, and that there was a lot of data around where some of us came to. So I think it's important for you to know it's not because we don't want you to go, but at the end of the day, it's first the safety, the legal part of it, and then we obviously consider the financial investment that you folks have in place. So it was all considered for sure.
Any other discussion? At this time, I need a roll call vote on the approval of rescinding the Environmental Club to travel to South Africa. Kathleen Allen,
Yes.
Amy Callan,
Yes.
Brian Chetney,
Yes.
Tom Chapa,
Yes.
Brandon Legault,
Yes.
Samuel Tripp.
Yes, the rescind.
6-0 approved to rescind. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. A, minutes of the regular board meeting of May 21st, 2019, minutes of the special board meeting of May 22nd, 2019, and the special education board report of 6/4/19. And first of all, any discussion? If I could get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved, I'm sorry. Opposed, thank you. Drew a blank there for a moment.
Starting with like
Next is curriculum with Carrie.
A is the 2018-19 summer grant proposal. These two proposals are hopefully a few of the last coming in for this school year. The first one is the high school building a digital media journalism curriculum with Matt Bach and Ken Nelson. They're working on reworking a curriculum that had been in the past, and they're bringing that class back. The second is Dr. Seuss Night, Read Across America, Amy Armette. That is for actually next year, but she's purchasing the materials that they need for that March 2nd night now and getting prepared for it.
Carrie, is that journalism class, is that going to be open in September?
I believe
Is
so,
that in
yes.
place?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Is
Yeah.
that,
Yep.
is that an elective or?
It's what used to be like Buck Bulletin.
Okay.
We're going to a more digital platform. Working with Jamie, we're in the process of purchasing a district-wide app that we can use that kids would, publish stories to. Working with athletics with Rhonda, publishing Buck athletic events as well as on there. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Motion,
Move it.
second?
Second.
Brian? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, B is the New York State Textbook Law. This is for Trinity Catholic School for Social Studies, the Studies Weekly newspaper.
Any discussion? Motion,
I'll make the motion.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next is personnel with Carrie Black.
A is for professional staff recommendation. This is administrative tenure for Kirk Mulvihill. He's the assistant principal at the high school.
Any questions? Motion? Brian? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
B is professional staff recommendation, teacher tenure, and we have quite a few in the audience here. We have Sarah Boehm, elementary teacher at Riley. We have Michelle Emmons, a math teacher at the high school. Megan Knoll, special ed teacher at KPS. Sarah Rector, a health education teacher at OMS. Dan Rogers, a school counselor at OMS. Tiffany Ryan, bio teacher at OMS. Rachel Walczyk, elementary at KPS. Heather Wilson, special ed teacher at KPS. And Mary Wilson, elementary teacher at Riley.
Any questions? Motion?
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
C, professional staff recommendation, leave of absence. This is for Allison Anderson, English teacher at the middle school, Stephanie Dawson, elementary teacher at Riley. They are taking a leave of absence from their current positions to fulfill, both are going for literacy positions, one at Riley, one at the middle school, and then Sean Fitzgerald at Fitchie Park.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
D, professional staff recommendation probationary. This is for Allison Anderson, who is taking the literacy position at the middle school.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
E is professional staff recommendation probationary for Craig Stevens, a teaching assistant, level 1 at the middle school.
Any questions? Motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
F, extra compensatory position recommendations for the high school. The positions auditor, Lisa Schultzke, director of student activities, Lisa Schultzke, and treasurer, Catherine Mills, or Trina Mills.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
G, extra compensatory position at the middle school, as listed below. You don't want me to read all those.
Nah.
Any questions?
I just have a question. I'm trying to remember, are the team leaders, is that new this year? Did we
No.
re-add those, or they were added in this year?
We had them last year. We have had them for this
This school year?
school
Okay,
year.
I couldn't
They're not
remember
new.
about that.
Correct.
Well, good, I'm glad to see that we have them, so I just couldn't remember if we had brought them back for this current school year.
Yes.
And everything else is all the same?
Yes, if you'll notice, the debate club advisor was new last year and it was not paid, and the student newspaper club was new last year, so now it's
Right.
the,
Great,
Motion, please.
move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
H is support staff recommendations, resignations. We have LaWanda Alley, a school bus driver, and Pam Dowd, a school monitor at the high school.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I is support staff recommendation probationary. Bev DeLon, a senior account clerk typist. She's in my office. She passed the civil service exam, so she's now is probationary.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And J is substitute and temporary employees as listed below, our normal add-ons.
Any questions? Motion? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No items for finance tonight, and then we move to the student rep discussion. Would you have anything for tonight?
Oh yeah. So last night at the high school we had our award ceremony. It was very well done. So I personally appreciated all the work that went into that and the teachers that emceed, I think it said. And then tonight is the senior show. I'm sure that'll go well. I know a couple people performing in it. So
What time is
good
it?
luck. 6 o'clock.
Mhm.
And that's pretty much it. High school's winding down.
Next is items from the board. Would any board members have any items tonight?
I don't.
Brian?
I just wanted to thank Mary Beth Piero for me being asked great, giving her very short notice to put together a youth government day for the city of Oswego. We have done this for years, and then there was a break where it didn't happen. So probably about a month ago, we reached out to Mary Beth, and she was able to help us get a good group of students together. The mayor was very pleased by the turnout. The kids did a great job with the debate. It was well attended. It was a success that we're going to build upon in the future, and I promise we'll give you more notice next year to put it together. But I think it was really good, so I just want to say thank you very much for that.
Any other items?
I was able to attend the chorus concert last week. It was outstanding. It was a lot of fun. A little long, not gonna lie to you, but there was a lot of stuff, and the kids had a lot of fun doing it. So amazing. Thank you for that, whoever was involved. Also, thank you for the survey stuff. I'll review that, and I'll give my feedback next 2 weeks from now.
Do you have any questions?
Oh, I already do.
Okay.
It's not exactly what I was looking for, but if I had questions.
Any other items?
I have a couple things. First, I want to say thank you to Ellie. I think sitting up here, and I'm so glad that we added the portion on the agenda that our reps can actually speak and not just sit here. I think it's a great experience for you, and it's always good for us to hear from a student's perspective different things that are going on. So thank you. You did a great job, and we wish you the best.
Thank you. Good luck. Thank you for your time.
The second thing is I feel like I had a big old long list of things, just follow up from the last board meeting, and it's too bad the superintendent isn't here, on such late notice, especially because we're missing other administrators. So it's like I feel like we can't really have a lot of dialogue outside of approving the agenda. So I guess what I can do is just kind of go down the list, and then maybe we can put some of these on the agenda for the next meeting, which will be my and Jim's last meeting. And so one thing was we had a pretty in-depth conversation about bus drivers. And I know that Nancy was going to put together some information for us that included our rate of pay as compared to other school districts' rate of pay. We never got that.
I just want to say, wasn't that because they were going to be going to this, we talked about something that they were going to.
They had to do with the
information.
next thing on my list, the financials being made public.
No, not
Because
that.
they were going to.
Well, I thought when we talked about they were going to someplace and they were going to talk to other districts and see
Mhm.
what they did.
Right.
And now they talked before they came, and they weren't going to be at this meeting, so we would have it at the next one.
Right, but they didn't need to go to that to get information on pay. I mean, that's a simple thing that we could have gotten. So I'm just saying,
No.
it's just a reminder. I don't want to argue about it. It's just, we asked for the pay comparisons. And she said, I'll send it to you in transmittal. That's what she said. Not the other stuff, yes. And the other
Oh,
part of
okay.
that was to look into the idea of possibly having passenger vans for sports, because we had a lot of times when kids were having to, Rhonda said, had to cancel different games and meets and whatever because we didn't have enough bus drivers. So we were brainstorming ideas as to what could we do. And maybe that's going to be part of it. But again, I thought that was something that we would just get in transmittal. So just a reminder for that. The other thing was, wanted to make sure that we had made the motion for the consent agenda to be put on, or to be made, the information, the backup information be made available to the public. And I know that we had talked about it being on this meeting, but then we knew that Heidi and Nancy were not going to be here, so it's on for next meeting. So I want to make sure that it is in fact on the agenda. The other thing I wanted to follow up on was, I know we had some email correspondence, but I just, for public record, wanted to make sure, because again, we had a lot of in-depth conversation on the establishing a board related on to OCTA as well as CSEA. So I don't know where we are with that. I don't know if the dates were chosen or if people were reached out to. Were they, or?
Yeah, I talked to Carrie Packney, and she's going to come up with some dates.
Okay, yeah, because I knew that they had.
Yep.
Now, I don't know as far as CSEA, I know that Okta, you guys had come up with like the optimal months. So I just think it's important that, I don't think we need to, although I'm not gonna be here and Jim's not gonna be here, I don't think we need to halt decision-making and planning because 2 people are leaving, 2 people are coming on. I think things that are working, we should keep doing the things that are working, so, and needed. So I just wanna make sure that that is being taken care of. The other thing I was gonna ask, and I don't know if Carrie, I knew Heidi and Nancy weren't gonna be here, but I figured Dean would be able to answer this. Maybe you guys will remember, well, first of all, my first question was, are all the new positions that we're hiring for posted? Everything is. Okay, so I remember, I don't know if it was a year ago or 2 years ago, I want to say it was in connection with when we were looking for our new trainer. Whatever the case may be, I had brought up the suggestion, and Heidi agreed that it was a good idea, that on her personnel page, that instead of having to go into OLAS, which is like added steps for looking for a job, that on the personnel page, we just had listed, these are all the positions. Anything that could be custodial, could be a bus driver, could be a teacher's aide, could be a principal, but everything is listed for ease of like access. So when people are looking for positions, they just go to the personnel page and they don't have to go that extra step and then do a search and it was just there. So I went there this weekend because I know a couple of people who are looking for positions who were interviewing other places and said that as far as they knew, the jobs weren't posted here. And they're really good candidates. So I thought, oh my goodness, like, I hope we don't miss them and they get hired in another school district. I mean, our loss. So when I went onto the personnel page, it's not listed that way. So when you look, it doesn't say, the only thing that's listed for a position is, I think it was a hall monitor, part-time hall monitor. So I'm just wondering.
As far as new positions that I'm aware of that have been posted internally, that's the only ones I'm aware of, but I'll ask her to,
Okay.
when she's posting, because I know there's still question of one of the positions, the school counselor / school psych, how we're gonna morph that position or what it's gonna look like that you added on, so we haven't even closed that conversation yet.
Okay, but as far as like teachers and all that, because what we did with the budget, we approved of PE teachers and a couple elementary school teachers. How come those aren't listed on the? I know you're not Heidi. I'm just saying, like, I'm just posing all these things because again, like my time's running out here. So
Well, I know
just
they're
wanna-
interviewing
There's a
already.
law, because when they do get posted, they're posted for 5 days.
Right.
So what I don't know is, were they on the page, but then when the posting came down, was it
Right.
taken off? I don't know that.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't know that.
they've already started interviewing for multiple
We had
positions
interviews
already.
today for
Okay.
counseling positions,
Yeah.
so.
All right.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I just want to make sure because, like I said, I had talked to 2 particular individuals, and I think it was last week, and they were like, "Oh no, I haven't even." So I was like, "Oh my goodness, I hope that we're not, behind the 8 ball." We've talked about this every year. Get out there first. So good. All right. So if we could just find out for sure with that. And again, and I know that I used this example a year or 2 ago, and I wish Jamie was here because, we could go. There's so many different school districts that do it the way that I'm saying. It's like y'all can go there and see, like Penfield, Baldwin's. I mean, there's a list of them. And you go to their personnel page, and it's so easy. Literally, the positions are all listed right there on one page. So anybody who's looking for a job, they just go and I want to work in Oswego, and they go to personnel and they see these are all the job positions that are open. So. Just a thought. The next thing I was going to ask, and you can answer this because you are here, the survey results. I know we all got those, and we had talked about at the last meeting that I think it was a great idea that you split up, that we each got every school, because otherwise that's a heck of a lot of information for us to navigate through. But when will we have the meeting? Like, should we have it on the agenda for next board? I mean, when are we going to share what we found? I mean, when Sam can say what's going on in his school, and Brandon can say what does everybody think?
Oh, wouldn't that be Carrie's job to present it to the board, the results of the
Well, I thought the reason that she gave it to us was to kind of help her so that it's not her presenting all seven.
Well, so that we
schools.
could look at it, I thought, but it wasn't for us to present it to.
Well, what was your
It's,
thought?
the amount of data was overwhelming, that's why I kind of
Right.
collapsed into that one district form.
Right.
But the suggestion had been if people wanted to come sit with me and go through some of the data, that would be fine. But like, when I was first going through all the data and I was trying to figure out how to collapse it, and you didn't want it collapsed, how am I going to put it even for a presentation in front of you, because there is so much
Right.
data. That's why we suggested giving it to all of you, but bringing it back together as one whole.
Mhm.
That, to me, was kind of what I did with that district overview
Right.
form, of trying to pull out the most essential pieces that will give you some information of the data. But again, if you want to have a meeting and you want me to sit through and talk through all that data, I can do that. It would take quite a bit of time. And then also the schools are looking at all that data and putting it into their school plans for next year too, so they're pulling apart all that data also. So,
So would it be
That-
smart? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, when you're saying that, if the individual schools and principals and teams are doing that, then to me, it sounds like, then at that point, when they have those plans and, what they found in the results of the data and how they're gonna implement those changes, they can present that. You can present maybe the overall, what you collapsed, just a verbal, and then have each school.
Well, I was gonna say the other part too is in liaisons for a school, if we would go and meet with the principals or sit and just after they've done their work with it and what they're going to do with it, sit down and go over everything with them as well, and then have that information that we could bring back and present as well. But, that's
So we
something-
have a few principals in the room, yes.
Yes.
You don't have to speak if you don't want to, but kind of putting you on the spot. What was your general feel of the survey, right? Because we haven't done one of these in a while. And, I think the three of you that are in here have been pretty well in here when I've
No,
been.
there's more.
Is there four?
Four, five.
Five?
Yeah.
So you guys have all been in here, you're hiding back there. Been asking about the survey. Is it useful information? Is it information that you will be able to get a kind of a feeling of the culture and climate, not only from a student base, from faculty based, support function based? Is it useful information? Was it useful information?
It is
'Cause-
to an extent, and then
Yes.
part of it, and I'm gonna just chime in, part of it is depending upon how many people actually completed the survey,
Right.
based on the number of, say, parents that we have for the building. So that's kind of hard, only because, well, let's face it, when you're asked about things, you tend to go to the survey when you've typically either had a overwhelming great experience or an overwhelming bad experience. The other part is when you're completing surveys, you tend not to have people go to the very negative or to the very positive. They stay in between. So asking the questions and getting the feedback, I think is great.
Right.
It just depends upon how many people completed for each of those areas, the survey, and trying to use that as a collective for, that's the general sense, or isn't it?
Right.
But it's good to have, good to have.
You know, just from face value, just looking at it, this is, if anybody can see it, this is Charles E. Riley, right? So, survey is thick, overwhelming, and if I was taking the survey, I would just want to get through it.
Some would stop, yeah,
Right.
or answered questions
So-
that weren't pertaining to them was another.
Correctly. So I'm going to give my personal opinion. Again, I haven't read through everything. It's a rather large survey that I don't know that we got the value that we needed out of it. It's my personal opinion, but again, I'll read through it. I know it was a state-provided survey that we chose to go with because it was free. So.
Wasn't it a federal one?
It's actually
that the
federal,
state
federal.
adopted the-
It's created
So
by
it
the
was
US
free, whether
Department
we were
of
mandated
Education.
to do it or we were selected, however it went. It wasn't the Wasn't what I was looking for, I guess, when I started this 2 years ago, asking 2 years ago about a survey, so. I hope that you can use some of the information out of it. I do plan on having a conversation with you, Linda, about it, that I'll come over and see you, and Carrie, I'll sit down with you as well, but we'll talk later.
Yeah, no, I think that, again, like, I think my point was that I think we all got information individual, and I think it's important for everybody to get the information from the other schools too. And I wholeheartedly agree with how you split it up, but my question was, how do we bring it all back together again and share what each one of our individual schools, you know, on the board level? I get that everybody else is going to take it and do their own things, but what were our, you know, what's the follow-up discussion gonna be, was really what my question was, so that was that. And then the last thing that is the board, I, again, was thinking that the superintendent was gonna be here and then we could move forward with the end of the year evaluation for him. So obviously we can't, so I don't know what you guys wanna do from here. I guess what I could do is just give Karen a folder.
To consolidate it,
What's that?
to consolidate the,
Well, no, that too, I mean, to be honest, because we haven't gotten a response from the mid-year review, I haven't even consolidated the information, because I thought it would be best to have, you know, us to have a meeting first, but, so I don't really know what to do from here, what you guys want me to do. I mean, I can just give them each individual, and just give it to Karen. I mean, again, I have one more meeting left, and it's, you know,
So I think we have to close up the mid-year evaluation. That has to be done first and foremost before we continue with the end of the year evaluation, right? So those two things need, that thing, the first thing needs to be wrapped up, and then secondly, the results of the end of the year, typically we review them as a group during executive session. I think it should be put on the agenda for the next meeting to have executive session to review the superintendent's final evaluation pending that we get results back from our request for the mid-year evaluation. So you got 2 weeks. Or week, or whatever it is.
So we have an audit committee that night at 4 o'clock, so the executive session would have to go at the end.
That's fine. But to put some closure on some things that needs to be done.
yeah, I agree. All right, anything else, anything else?
Okay. Would there be a need for an executive session?
Nope.
At this time, could I have a motion to adjourn?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? May adjourn.